G'day and welcome back to another episode of Ethan's Wildlife. Well, I wanted to do one more episode to wrap up the year, but unfortunately we were hit by some massive storms over the break. Forecasted to have a few more storms for my last break of the year, which means unfortunately I wouldn't be able to film another episode. However, fortunately, I think I'm able to put this episode together where we're going to go and try and find some snakes up at Mount Glorious at night time, which will be absolutely fantastic. I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all next year. Well, just as I was about to leave, I found this little guy. It's a harmless common tree snake, also known as the green tree snake. And you can see why, because of that coloration. They're really slender, active diurnal snake, and just as their name suggests, they're very good climbers. Like I said earlier, this species is completely harmless unless you're a little skink or a frog. Before we get to the mountain, I decided to see if we could find any other reptiles around, and I was in luck. This bamboo grove is a perfect spot for pythons. Alright, so here he is. Coastal carpet python coming down from the bamboo. Quite large. They can get to about 4.5 meters at maximum. Usually a lot smaller than that. Now you can see one of the main features of the python here. Labial pits. Heat sensing pits along the lips here. They use those to find their prey, as well as their forked tongue. What a beautiful snake. It's probably one of the largest snakes we get around this part of Australia. And yeah, I'll even be. It'll come down all the way later tonight, I reckon. This next find that I'm going to have might be a little bit confronting to some people. It's a predator-prey interaction. So just prepare yourself for that. Alright, here we go. Although we may not look in the video, this is another harmless species. A common keelback, also known as a freshwater snake. And they're called that keelback name because of the scales having a very keeled texture. Now, they are non-venomous, completely harmless to us humans. What's interesting is these guys are actually capable of eating small cane toads without being poisoned. Something very unique amongst Australian reptiles. Now this guy can be very easily misidentified with a very similar looking, highly venomous species, the rough-scaled snake. Now you can easily tell them apart because of the presence of a loreal scale, which is that small scale that you can see in between the eye and the nostril scales. That's something that none of our venomous snakes, which belong to the elapid family, which also includes things like cobras, black mambas and sea snakes. Now they mostly eat frogs and toads, which is what this one's doing here. It seems cruel, but it's nature's way. Snakes got to eat as well, and well, we better leave the little guy to it. Alright, so we're actually heading up the mountain now. This road that we're on is very good for finding a variety of reptiles, or so I've heard. I'm hoping to find a couple of venomous snakes, which would be really good for this video. Well, I did say we wanted to find venomous snakes, and this little guy is a death adder. Alright, well now that he's slithered safely off the road, this is the 10th most venomous snake in the world. But despite its reputation, they're not particularly inclined to bite even when approached. They tend to just sit still and rely on their camouflage. These are ambush predators and they have an extraordinarily fast strike. Well, off he goes into the leaf litter. You can see that white tail tip there, and they will use this to lure their prey, which could be small mammals, skinks, or whatever sort of comes past, in towards it, and wham, they strike fast and hard. They're one of my favourite species. They're also an elapid, even though they somewhat resemble the vipers which you can find on other continents, but we've got no vipers here in Australia. I've just pulled over because we found this little long-nosed bandicoot foraging along the edge of the road. He seems quite shy, so we'll let him be. But isn't it remarkable just how many unique marsupials we have here in Australia? Well, venomous snake number 2, and this one is not an elapid, it's a colubrid like the green tree snake. This is a brown tree snake. Now they're regarded as weakly venomous, so the venom isn't actually considered dangerous to humans, and they're a rear-fanged species, which means their venom delivery is not as efficient as that of a viper or an elapid. They're arboreal and nocturnal, and in some parts of their range they have stripes and are known as night tigers. These guys are very strong predators of birds. Alright, so we're back down from the mountain. We'll see what else we can find tonight, hey? Well, here we have another coastal carpet python. This one is a juvenile. I just wanted to show this guy just so you can see the size difference compared to the larger one that we found earlier in the video. And this guy is quite wary of his surroundings, but he knows I mean no harm. And they're non-venomous, so completely harmless. But they might bite if they're disturbed. And here you can see the climbing ability of the python. Most snakes are actually really good climbers, and pythons are no exception. Aren't they remarkable? Well, that concludes this episode of Ethan's Wildlife. I hope you enjoyed. We found some amazing snake species. I'm a massive fan of snakes, and I've been wanting to do an episode focusing mostly on them for quite a long time now. And I hope you enjoyed. This will be the last upload of the year, so I'll see you all in 2024, and hope you enjoyed.